Perfect. Okay. Welcome everyone to the Funding Impacts Working Group. We've got a pretty full session today. We have today as a guest speaker Alexandros Tsitsakpinis, who's going to be doing a presentation on analyzing the usage of platform donations for Python package index libraries. And following this presentation, we'll also review a few key takeaways from our retrospective and discuss next steps. Kilian will drive that, and then, as usual, we'll finish with a few reminders about some upcoming events that might be of interest to the folks here. But with that, I will hand over to Alex, who I think is able to share his slides.
Yeah, I tried it before. Let's see if it works now.
Beautiful.
Can you give
There we
me a
go.
thumbs up? Yeah, you see that, right?
Yeah.
Let me. Can you still see
Yep.
the slides? Okay, great. Yeah. So first, thanks giving me the opportunity to present part of my research here. As I said before, quickly when talking with Paul, it was a coincidence after the last presentation, as I wasn't too sure if these metadata research was kind of related to this group. So it was really good seeing the last presentation. So I thought, why not presenting that stuff here? Maybe quick words about my person. My name is Alexandros Tsakpinis. I'm a researcher at the Fortis Institute. It's a research institute based in Munich, focusing on software-intensive systems. And simultaneously, I'm doing my PhD at the Technical University of Munich. Maybe before talking about the title or something, let's quickly motivate the situation, which kind of brought me to this paper. And of course, no presentation in this group starts without our picture here on the left. I really like it, as in my opinion, it describes perfectly well how our open source ecosystems have evolved over time, where you have the PyPy ecosystem as one example. You're having different applications and systems using libraries, and these libraries themselves using, again, direct and transitive dependencies, and all this thing then forms a pretty complex graph in the end. And then you have this text in the lower right, basically pointing about the problem that you have this person in Nebraska kind of maintaining this super critical library on its own since 2003. But one important thing I'm missing here is basically that we're missing the fact that we do have a huge problem that it happens again and again. Then silently, some of these critical libraries stop their maintenance activities. So then I thought about, okay, how have we tried to kind of monitor the maintenance activities so far? So what happened in the past was that we try to find the development repositories, for example, in that case, GitHub. Then some frameworks have been developed where maintenance activities can be measured. I took, for example, here now the OpenSSF scorecard. I guess it's familiar to most of us, where a library can either be, in that case, measured as perfectly well, or in case you have any problems, it can also be measured as unmaintained or accordingly maintained. And then, I adapt or I jumped more into the literature and try to understand, okay, maybe have we found about some root causes why these basically maintenance activities stop at different libraries. And then I found this study here from Tidelift. I think it's also known here in this group, which basically provides us evidence that we do have a huge funding problem. I mean, that's also the reason why we do have this group, but maybe to kind of summarize the situation why this paper emerged. So I found this evidence. Okay, we have a huge problem with funding. Too many maintainers are basically hobbyists, and this is one of the key reasons why maintenance activities do stop in libraries. So this basically brings me to the problem of the paper, where then I thought, okay, if we do have these problems about maintenance activities are stopped due to lack of funding, let's have a look to what extent libraries actually make use of funding infrastructure. In that case, I basically selected different kinds of donation platforms, which provide the end users in the end a lightweight infrastructure to provide funding to the maintainers. And what I basically analyzed was how this basic coverage is for individual libraries, but also for libraries in dependency chains. So I always took these two perspectives. And now you may wonder, okay, he did not only look between the link from PyPy to the donation platforms, but also over GitHub. Why did he choose GitHub in that case? And therefore, I would quickly introduce the results from a paper before, where I basically analyzed to what extent individual libraries and libraries in dependency chains link to code repositories. And there, basically, the main outcome was that, most of the libraries on PyPy do link on GitHub repositories, and the alternatives is neglectably small. So if you take the full ecosystem, you only 2.3% would use alternatives, and if you basically would shrink the analyzed subset of libraries to, for example, 0.1%, and which then corresponds to roughly, I think, 500 libraries. This ratio of alternatives even shrinks further. So just as a quick evidence why I used in this overview the link over GitHub as well. Quick insights to the methodology I've chosen for this paper. So the data set I collected was at the beginning of 2025, so beginning of this year. At this point of time, we had roughly 290,000 PyPy libraries on PyPy listed, collectively forming around 1.43 million dependencies. I collected these information from public PyPy RPs. For the metadata extraction, I collected the project links, which are listed basically on the left of this PyPy page, and the direct dependencies. I have been collecting the latest dependencies only, so this is also a limitation you might recognize. So I did not basically consider any library version. So I basically just took always the latest version of the dependency available. From GitHub, I extracted the owner type, additional donation links, and checked if the GitHub sponsors URL, which was linked, was basically valid, so not outdated, so no 404 or anything similar. And then I was basically creating, based on these information, a dependency graph where you have libraries as nodes and then directed edges representing the dependencies. And then to basically being able to analyze different subsets of libraries, as I was assuming that the results of the coverage for the nation platforms was different in different kind of subsets. I calculated the PageRank score for each of these libraries. And as basically domain platform detection, I filtered the assigned URLs by domain frequency, and I got inspired by this website oss.fund, where I basically checked what I have found and what they listed on their site, and then I came basically up with this list of donation platforms have shown before. And as quickly introduced before in the paper, I'm basically taking two perspectives. On the one side, I'm analyzing libraries individually without considering their dependency chains. And on the other side, I'm also analyzing the libraries within the dependency chains. I think that will get way more clear when looking at the results. So let's jump directly into basically the first part of our research, which starts with a library perspective. So what I've done there is basically to analyze the different donation platform providers by distinguishing where the links are basically placed on PyPy and exclusively on GitHub. And the key takeaways are here that most of the donation platform links appear exclusively on GitHub, but are not listed on the PyPy pages. GitHub sponsors heavily dominates with almost 82% of all donation platform URLs. And one interesting thing here is also that the GitHub sponsors URLs which are identified from all of them, roughly 30% are outdated, highlighting the need for some automated checks supporting the maintainers. Second part of the results from a library perspective is basically analyzing different subsets of the whole ecosystem. So the x-axis basically chunks the whole ecosystem and different subsets. So the most right bar would basically represent the whole ecosystem, and the most left bar would be basically the top 10% of libraries ranked by the PageRank score. Back then, I was not aware, or I have not started with basically the question, what would be a decent, basically granularity for kind of chunking the ecosystem, as we have seen in the last presentation that we were basically talking about, I don't know, was it 0.3 or 0.5% being basically the most critical libraries of an ecosystem. So what we can see here is not fine granular enough, but we have basically deepened down the analysis if you look at the results. So what we can take as from the results is that donation platforms are rare, even for more important libraries. We can see that if we basically move to the left, what we cannot see here in the image, but we have done the analysis basically offline, even for the top 0.1%, meaning like roughly 600 libraries, the coverage does not exceed 25%. So even there, the coverage is not too high, and apparently organizationally led projects link more often than those basically maintained by individual developers. Now let's move to the results from a dependency chain perspective. So what I basically did there is taking each library and taking the dependency chain of this library, and then looking at the direct dependencies exclusively, looking at their transitive dependencies exclusively, and then also at this whole chain, and then basically aggregating these results, forming in the end these graphs where we then see basically the ratio of libraries and direct dependencies linking to donation platforms for transitive dependencies, and also the whole chain. What we can see here that if we do include the root libraries, the ratio of libraries in these chains and linking to donation platforms drop significantly. So what we can see here is that, the biggest problems we do have in root libraries, which could be directly fixed by the maintainers, but we could see that as a negative outcome. But as a positive outcome, we can see that most dependencies which are automatically integrated in our applications show strong adoptions. Why do we see that? So if I'm, for example, developing a system, taking library X, which might have problems in the root library, which is shown here in the gray bar, but their direct and transitive dependencies, which are shown in the blue and orange bar, show great adoption, and these are the libraries which are automatically integrated. So we see we do have problems in the root libraries, but for all the Python developers, we also have positive signs as these libraries automatically being integrated. So strong adoption. What are key learnings from this study? So one interesting thing in my opinion is that despite already linking their GitHub repositories on PyPy, maintainers rarely add the donation links or the donation platform links on PyPy. And for me, this is pretty unclear why this is done, as they have previously already, basically taken the effort to manually link their GitHub repository. The second key learning is that we do have a maintenance gap, as we have almost 30% of the GitHub sponsors links are outdated. So it would be cool for the maintainers to have support here in form of any technical system. We do see that even for the top libraries, we have low adoption. And what is pretty interesting, in my opinion, that organizations show higher adoption than individuals. And one possible explanation for that could be that they do have more or greater operational resources. I don't know that for sure, but that could be an explanation. And maybe, a key learning regarding sustainability is that libraries which are used as dependencies strongly adapt donation platforms, signaling sustainability practices where it matters most for the ecosystem. Maybe some outlooks which I could contribute in the upcoming months. So I'm running a few more metadata related studies. So first, I'm doing a qualitative study complementing these quantitative results you have just seen to understand why authors and maintainers link, or even more important, don't link their libraries to code repositories and donation platforms. I'm also analyzed the metadata about the availability of contact information, as we all know that there we do have a funding problem, but basically money does not solve all the problems. So we should also be able to get in touch with these maintainers. So in my opinion, this metadata part about the contact information should be analyzed accordingly as the other tools you have just seen. And then more in the future, I am planning some impact-related studies where my goal is to basically identify a subset of libraries, which, whatever that means, potentially maximizes the impact on the ecosystem if being supported. So it's I'm still in the idea phase there, so I can't talk too much about that. And then the idea is basically, if I have identified this subset of libraries, basically reconnect it to these metadata results we have just talked about, and also the contact information. And then I basically do have these same comparisons as we have heard in the last presentation, where we first look at basically the ecosystem results, and then going down and look at the results from the perspective when looking at the basically most critical libraries which I identified before. That brings me to the end of my presentation. I didn't stop the time, so I hope I was kind of fine. And I'm really looking for feedback, questions, and discussing what I've done. Thank you very much.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much, Alexandros. That was a brilliant presentation. Really fascinating. I have a couple of questions, but I'm very happy to first open it up more generally if anyone else wants to jump in on the Q&A. I think we've got about perhaps 5 minutes for it. Kilian, go ahead.
Yeah, just to echo what Paul said, really great presentation. Thank you. And also thank you for using the CHAOSS slide template. That was the cherry on top. I have just a few questions about the metadata study. that you mentioned.
Mhm.
I guess the first question is, have you started working on it already?
What do you mean?
The metadata study that you mentioned, have you started working on it already?
You mean these ones, or?
Yeah, this one, yeah.
Yeah, I have started. So, but yeah, I'm not finished yet. So I
Okay.
plan to submit it like in January or something. Or
Cool, cool.
what?
Yeah, so my question, so I wasn't sure how to frame my question based on whether you had started it or not. But basically, I would love to just hear more about kind of the methods you were thinking of using to, understand, why, developers, maintainers do this or don't do this. And secondly, what your hypotheses are for why they do it or don't do it.
Okay. So you were more talking about this qualitative study,
Yeah, sort of
or
going forward based on the findings that you have,
okay, okay.
investigating these
Yeah.
norms.
So I can maybe already talk a bit about it. I mean, it's not finished yet, but so basically, based on the quantitative results we have seen there, for example, like this problem with URLs being outdated, or why donation platforms are linked on GitHub but not on PyPy. We basically formulated, yeah, two independent surveys, and we contacted maintainers directly, and yeah, basically waited for their answers, and then I analyzed their answers using topic modeling, and based on basically their answers on these questions, we try to derive call to actions and takeaways. What be the reasons for these problems, and then based on these problems they are having, we try to derive mechanisms to solve that.
Interesting. And so I guess, what were your hypotheses, and then have your findings, are they supporting them, or have you found things that you weren't expecting?
Um, so, I mean, I don't have all the details now in my head. So maybe that makes more sense if this is kind of done, that I presented
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
comprehensively.
I'm just curious because
Yeah, I got. Yeah, so all this is kind of written down. I'm happy to present it here as well, and then then I'm a bit more prepared, because this
yeah,
haven't worked on it for quite some while now. So
yeah,
No,
awesome. Yeah, we're putting you on the spot there.
I mean, it
all good.
certainly sounds like we'll have to have you back at some point, Alexandros, to present. I'd be really interested to know why it is, what motivates maintainers to add these links or not in some cases, because my understanding is it's relatively straightforward from a technical aspect, but it's clearly
Exactly.
like hugely important for an understanding of what's happening in this kind of in these ecosystems. Adrian, do you want to jump in?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Paul. Thank you so much, Alexander. It was a great presentation, such a niche but important topic. So I'm so glad that you were able to present. And I just wanted to ask on the dependency graph, because that's very interesting to me. And I was thinking of the NGI project also having an analysis where we're looking at their dependencies and the dependency graph. And here you are, it was 1+ million dependencies that you looked at. So I'm wondering how big that graph was, and if, from an operational point of view, if your computer was able to handle it, and if so, I might ask questions from you on how to do it for example, NGI projects.
I mean, all the analysis was running on my MacBook, so
Mm,
I did not have any problems like regarding resources. I mean, quickly through, yeah, I think here were the facts. So regarding the graph itself, I used a framework. What was it called? GraphX or something, to basically compute these page rank scores. Yeah, but I never had a problem to kind of compute these things.
okay, nice. Thank you. Such a great job.
Oh, did I answer? Like I didn't make the connection to your project. So maybe you can repeat your question if I missed a point.
Yes, that was the main question. I'm still exploring what we can do for the NGI funding project and analysis. And I was a bit scared of doing dependency graphs because I was afraid that it would get too much of a computation, would be too much of a computational resource. But it's good to see your example here, and then I can dig into
I
it
mean,
more and
if you
how.
if you have the information, which are the nodes and what are the dependencies between the nodes, it's like all the code for this paper is on Figshare, so you can just check it out. I mean, calculating for each library the PageRank score, it's a one-liner if you have added each node and all the dependencies for each node. So if you have this information, getting a score and in that case an importance in the end for each node within the ecosystem, it's not too difficult. So it's not difficult at all.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Wonderful. With that, I think we'll switch to the second part of our agenda. But just again, a huge thank you to you, Alexandros, for that. That was really fascinating. We wanted to spend the remaining 15 minutes just recapping some of the key takeaways from our feedback session a while back, and also talk about some next steps for how we actually might implement some of that feedback and some changes to kind of improve these meetings and this group. With that, I'm going to hand over to my co-chair, Kilian, who's going to drive this part. And yeah, Kilian, stage is all yours.
Thank you, Paul. So I just shared the link to the sheet in the chat. So I believe everyone that is here today participated in the retro, correct me if I'm wrong. And so yeah, thank you again for participating in that. Well, I could also share my screen if that might be easier, right? Let's do that. How about that? So yeah, this is just gonna be. I thought we'd just quickly start by reviewing the key takeaways. Basically by zooming in on the kind of points with the most bold P's next to them. And then here in the yellow box, we can just jot down some kind of next steps, priority actions that we think we should take. So just let's start with continue because here we got a lot of good stuff. So we have a great atmosphere that people love. It's great. Everyone's contributed to that. So I guess the takeaway is, continue being nice, continue being yourselves. And then concretely, two things that people appreciate are these expert presentations, like the one we had today and previous sessions. So that's something we should definitely continue. I think an action to jot down is maybe being a bit more proactive about trying to kind of schedule future presentations and yeah, like have a bit of a lineup that we could also promote on social media because that would help with one of the improvement points, which is about, attracting new members. So let's start by writing that down here. I'm using this funky keyboard. Let's see how oh, here we go. So give me a second.
I can also note take if it's easier. Okay.
That would be helpful. It's
Yeah.
kind of improvising on a new keyword. Okay, so yeah, so I think one thing for me at least is to be a bit more proactive in trying to create a schedule, not only for knowing who's going to be speaking, but also one that we can use in our promotional materials. Before I move on to the next point, does anyone have any ideas or kind of immediate reactions to that? Does that sound good? Yeah, I guess. Okay, fine. Then the other thing is the research slide series. We've kind of neglected that in recent sessions. So if you can't remember what these were, this is where members of our group would summarize kind of key learnings and takeaways from prior work on open source funding and funding impact measurements. So that was good. And 3 people thought that we should keep that going. So maybe we need to give that some love and think about, volunteer ourselves if we see a paper that we think should be shared. Moving over to improve, I guess the things that stand out here are the low numbers of participants. Yeah, so that's something that could be improved by, promotion on social media as well as some meetups. So there are a few events coming up where we could potentially address that. So just looking at the minutes, I see here are some events. Still, you can see my screen, right? Yeah. So CHAOSScon Europe, that's the day before FOSDEM starts. I saw that registration has not been announced yet. It's coming soon. I believe this link just leads to the same page. But yeah, so a few of us were there last year. It was a lot of fun. It was also really nice to see folks. So if you're attending FOSDEM this year, please do come along and maybe we could do something together, or a presentation or something like, or a panel. And then of course there's FOSDEM and a few of us here are co-hosting a dev room. So please come along and also maybe, submit some work. So for example, Alexandros, the presentation you presented today, I think would be really relevant to this dev room. So it'd be great to have you there. The deadline is the 1st of December, I believe. Yeah. And also, I'm really happy, if I may say, that we got upgraded. So last year we initially had a half day on Sunday, which is kind of like the graveyard shift. But then we got upgraded to a full day because we had so many submissions. But this or next 2026, we'll have a full day on Saturday, which is great. So it's good evidence that people care about this topic. Now going back to this, before I move on to the next one, does anyone have any thoughts on how to improve participation?
I might have a question here. So I'm new to this whole format, and I wanted to ask, how is it done maybe in other groups which are maybe bigger or exist also longer? So that was the first question which came into my mind. Are there existing best practices?
That's a really good question. So I've only participated in this group, so I'm not really confident answering that. Paul, do you have any idea or other?
Afraid not. I mean, my intuition says that a lot of the other channels and groups in the CHAOSS community are a bit more sort of, if you like, technical. But I think Dawn would have a good perspective on this, and I think it is also a good impulse. Like, how do other groups go about this? Because we're also obviously leaning on a bit of infrastructure from CHAOSS themselves, and there are probably other groups that have faced similar issues, and we could enter into dialogue with them. I think that's a really good idea.
Yeah. Great. So we've covered this one. And then the next point about improving is use of the GitHub repo for knowledge sharing. So that's kind of been neglected. Let's have a look. So I think Serkan, you had once contributed something to it. There we go. That was 8 months ago.
Yep. Probably added some links.
Yeah, I think you contributed to our knowledge. We have this knowledge hub, right? Prior research where we try to
Yeah.
summarize keywords. Thanks. So thank you for your contribution.
No problem.
If I may put you on the spot, what, in the interest of trying to improve what we do, what was not working so well about this process? Or like, what was burdensome for you? Because I see that you contributed once, so thank you, but you didn't come back.
Yeah, but I mean, for me, adding it, of course, was rather easy. I mean, we just created the PR, and I think the next day you added it. So for me, it was very smooth. Of course, prior work on open source funding is maybe I didn't come up with any other. I didn't find any other research. If that would be the case, we can add it, of course. It's just I didn't think about any other. I didn't find any other resource, but it was rather smooth, of course. Maybe not prior work, but there are, of course, a lot of interesting conversation happening about funding open source software, like this EDIC conversation. It's just lately I started to read a lot again, so maybe we can just use our Slack channel to share the links, let's say, to have a conversation going in the Slack channel. And then if there are links are piling up, we can maybe add it to this knowledge hub. But yeah, the Slack channel can be more lively, let's say.
Yeah, more lively, but I guess parts, you have to be in it to see it, which is one of the issues. Paul?
Yeah, I was just going to kind of second what Serkan was saying there. I think a lot of our resources are a bit kind of distributed, and obviously it's different tools and different channels for different purposes. But I think if we were to link more in the Slack channel to those resources, and perhaps that's something for us to do as kind of the steering committee, that would encourage people to take a closer look and thereby, I assume, be a bit more engaged with it. But I'm also sympathetic to your point that we also have this issue of like actually generating interest and getting more people on board, and if you like, making people aware of the group. So for the sake of encouraging people to be more active with the GitHub repo, I think we should share it a bit more on our Slack and use that as a central kind of resource. And then for attracting new members and generating noise, I think the meetups are a very good idea. And I think, perhaps a bit more outreach for other speakers or people from related CHAOSS communities or working groups is also good.
Excellent. Have you jotted all those points that Serkan raised that you just excellently raised?
I will attempt to do so, but grateful for a second perspective on it now.
Yeah.
Maybe I can share one point here regarding the knowledge hub. So when the repo was created, I think I wasn't there from the beginning, but like I think 3 or 4 weeks after start, I saw the repo and I actually used the knowledge hub. And when getting also into the meetings, I saw that like Serkan, for example, contributed something, but I didn't feel like what I think is interesting does really fit there. So I didn't feel like I have the power or I should contribute that, especially if it comes to my work, because I thought, how weird is that? Like putting my work in there. So that kind of hindered me, to be honest. Now, as I know, you are interested in that stuff, so I'm happy to contribute it there. But as a beginner, these were my thoughts why I didn't actively contribute there, but more consumed.
Yeah. And it's certainly welcome. So I'm sorry that we didn't, make that clear from the beginning when you first visited it.
And
Something. Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I just wanted to say that I think the list is actually already quite comprehensive, so that could be a reason why we're not adding anything. But I also like the Slack idea. I think just when I'm reading something interesting, I would be more inclined to first send it through Slack, and then maybe if I get a reaction or something, then I feel like, okay, I can put it through a PR.
Awesome. Yeah. No, and also just because we have this is like the only file that we have in the repo. It doesn't mean we have to continue with, I'm not saying that we should delete it, but it's the only thing we've done. So I just wanted to get some feedback on it. And I understand that it has some pros, but, also some, cons. I think maybe something we could also do here because is share maybe some of the PDFs of the presentations we've had. because yeah, I'm all for using Slack, but I think, that's really great for people who are already members, and it's not visible for those who aren't. Okay, so I'll just, in the interest of time, just go over the last point, which is more deep dives into the data and metrics. Serkan, was it you who added that? No, sorry.
I don't think that was me.
I think it was Dawn.
Dawn, okay.
Yeah, I'd certainly say I'm sympathetic to that because I think it's a kind of cross-cutting set of concerns like data access, data sources, what kind of metrics people apply. That tends to be, if you like, that has a bit more of a broader appeal than, let's say, like the very research question oriented presentations. So perhaps, I mean, this is perhaps speculating a bit too far and getting a bit too prescriptive, but perhaps there's a space for, on the one hand, the research presentations, but also more general discussions about like, okay, what data sources are we using? What are we looking at? What kind of overlap is there between CHAOSS and ecosystems? I think that would be super interesting because it's of relevance to us as kind of research practitioners.
Yeah, definitely. Awesome. So yeah, let's definitely do some work on that as well. So I realize we're pretty much at time, so I'll just wrap up this here by saying again, thanks for having contributed to this. It's the first time we're running this working group, so we're learning as we're going. And yeah, there's a lot of room for improvement, which I'm personally excited about. I guess just the last thing to say before we wrap up is just the usual reminders. So touched on them earlier, but yeah, once this registration goes live, if you're going to be in Brussels for FOSDEM, it'd be great to see you there. Similarly, please check out the FOSS Ecosystem Dev Room that we're co-hosting, and feel free to submit an application or a proposal for presentation. And then finally, I believe Dawn added this one, Scale, which is in the US, and that's coming up in March next year. And so unless there's any other business, I think we've covered everything.
I think that's everything. Nice.
Great. Well,
Lovely.
thank you again, Alexandros.
Thanks so much.
Yeah. Thanks
Yep.
very much.
Yeah.
Thanks everyone for being there.
Bye-bye.
Take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.